All right, as promised, continuing along here on Bronco Nation News on a Friday, barely 24 hours till tip-off. Kind of a rare 11 a.m. game here. Big excitement on the show here. Big excitement in Boise for CBS to be in town, San Diego State to be in town, and this man, Clark Kellogg, the lead analyst for CBS, their college basketball coverage. Nice enough in between flights to give us a few minutes of his time here. Clark, really appreciate it, man. Looking forward to having you in Boise. How's it going?
Very much looking forward to getting there, BJ. I'm doing great. I get to do something that a lot of people would love to be able to do, bounce around and enjoy talking about college basketball with a great team of colleagues. And my first visit to Boise, and very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was at 34,000 feet flying last Saturday, coming back to Boise after their win against Nevada the night before, and was watching that New Mexico, San Diego State game, and heard you say at halftime that you'd never been to Boise before and that you were doing the game. And right away I said, I got to track down some contact info for him somehow. And my friend Rich Waltz was nice enough to share an email address, and we got it done. But I was surprised. All the years you've called the NCAA tournament and stuff, and it's been in Boise, it just never worked out. You said you'd never been to Boise before.
No, when I was actually out calling the games with Jim Nance and Tracy Wolfson, Steve Kerr worked with us for a few years. From 2009 to 13, we typically were east of the Mississippi in our assignment. So had not had the privilege, obviously, of seeing some great games in action in Boise over the course of the time that I've been at CBS as part of the tournament, but had never had the privilege of being there myself. So very much looking forward to being there and seeing a great game. I mean, two outstanding teams. The Mountain West is a terrific conference, top to bottom. And San Diego State has been the bell cow. I mean, they've been phenomenal across the country, but particularly in the Mountain West championship program in every way. I actually had their game out in San Diego against UNLV a couple weeks ago with Rich. And they were solid that day, and they got a good win earlier this week. And this is going to be a fun one here. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we'll get to the matchup here in a minute, but just I know you do a lot of the studio work, but still getting a chance to get out and go to some games and be in the environments with the crowds and stuff. How much do you, even after all these years, still enjoy, sitting there at half court with a headset on and calling these games? And what have you heard about, I guess, the city in Boise and an Extra Mile Arena? And it's going to be a sellout crowd tomorrow. Should be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, I love what I get to do in every aspect of it, BJ. To interact with players and coaches and officials and fans is really a treat. My work is primarily in the studio at this stage in my journey, but I always enjoy and never take for granted the privilege of being able to be courtside, to have the kind of access we do, and to see some of the great venues. I mean, the Mountain West has some tremendous venues, and Boise is one of those places. I mean, it's a special place. The crowd will be alive. I mean, you can feel it and see it through television, and to have a chance to be amongst the people that'll be there courtside is great adrenaline rush for me, even after 30 plus years of doing it. It never gets old. I never, ever take it for granted. I'm extremely grateful. And I love what basketball has meant to me for, oh my goodness, for over 50 years of my life in every capacity.
Yeah, not trying to age you at all, but I mean, you think about your playing career and a McDonald's All-American, first-round draft pick. I mean, you probably saw yourself having this, making yourself as a player, which you did, but obviously the injuries kind of cut that short. I mean, when did you kind of realize that broadcasting was something you kind of wanted to try, and when did you kind of realize, hey, I might be able to make a second career out of this?
You know, when I had to retire from the Pacers in 1987 because of trouble with my left knee, I was always a student of the game. I loved reading about it, talking to my late dad about it, about the players he played against and the greats way before me. So I was always a student of the game. I love reading and communicating. So when I had to retire, I got an opportunity with the Indiana Pacers on radio to stay involved with that franchise, which had been my home as an NBA player. Loved the city of Indianapolis. And that was the beginning. And once I got started, BJ, I was rough around the edges like anybody doing something for the first time, but I knew I wanted to do it well. I thought I could do it well. And I had a ton of folks come alongside me, partners and producers and directors that really helped me grow. And I got better fast. I was doing Pacers radio. I did Cleveland State University television. I'm a Cleveland native. And that was right out of the chute. I retired in August of '87, right after the Pacers had drafted Reggie Miller, and had a full slate of broadcasting assignments between radio and Cleveland State TV right away. And that began to whet the appetite. And I said, I think I might make a run at this. I'm certainly going to give it my best effort. I'm going to approach it like I played. I want to excel. I want to be good. I want to be a good teammate. And lo and behold, I've been at it for closing in on 40 years, man, which is remarkable to think about.
And you got an awesome career. You've done a lot of cool things, but I don't know if there's anything cooler than being in a video game. Your voice on NBA 2K, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty. That had to be pretty cool. And I know that's something too that will go on. You know, with my kids have old video games and stuff, and that's got to be cool.
Oh, it's beyond cool. And how old are your kids, BJ?
6 and 8. But Dad can't afford the 23 NBA 2K, so we go back to the 17, 18 ones, you know, the older years.
You know what? I wish I would have known that. I would have brought you a copy out. I'll keep you in mind going forward. But yeah, it's been an unbelievable journey with that franchise. Kevin Harlan and I and a ton of other announcers are part of it. And Kevin and I have been, I think this is my 15th year of doing that. And it's connected me to a full generation of folks who have no idea that. I'm actually in the game now. I think you can find me as an old school player if you look far enough and hard enough. So I'm actually in it. But for a lot of people, they know me through broadcasting. If they follow hoops, they don't recognize that there was a time when I was actually out there making plays between the lines. So it's pretty cool to be connected to folks that love the game in that kind of way, particularly young folks. I think it's pretty cool that they can learn. While playing the game, they can learn a little bit of the history of the game as well.
I just know you as the guy that lost to President Obama and horse. I mean, that's – come on now.
Oh, man, you sound like some of my basketball fraternity brothers who still look at me with disdain whenever that comes up because they feel like I let them down when I didn't win.
You were letting the president win, right? You got to.
I gave him some momentum that he took advantage of. I really didn't want him to win. I wanted to allow him to keep it close. But as you know, when momentum starts, it's hard to change it. And so it's still one of the great moments I've had the privilege of having. Actually, it's way at the top of the list for my experiences in basketball to have a chance to have played with President Obama in a fun setting there at the White House.
Clark Kellogg, our guest, for a couple more minutes before he boards his flight to Boise. We're previewing the big game tomorrow, Boise State, San Diego State, CBS, big CBS, CBS Sports Network's done a lot of games here, but big CBS, it's a big deal here in Boise. I think it's the first ever Boise State game on CBS.
I think it might be. I think you may be actually right on top of that. I'm pretty sure you're right, BJ, and it's a privilege for me to have a chance with Spiro Ditas and the rest of our crew to be calling the action.
I know you're going to probably talk to the coaches and players and stuff either tonight or tomorrow before the game, and you're still doing your prep, but just from afar, what's your take on Leon Rice and this Boise State program and you know, what they've done, I guess, in the past, but also this year here?
Very impressive. He's an impressive guy. He's been a terrific coach, even as an assistant at Gonzaga, and he's done a great job in his tenure there in terms of championship caliber, NCAA tournament, postseason play for the Broncos. Got a lot of respect and admiration and appreciation for Leon, not just because of what he does, but how he does it. I mean, he does it in a way that impacts young men that he's entrusted to in a positive manner while having success and being competitive. That's what you want to see happen in the world of collegiate, even high school athletics. The program is solid, and this year is maybe one of the stronger years in the Mountain West overall. I mean, you're looking at where teams are ranked in the net. I think half a dozen in the top 70 or so in the net rankings, and every game's a challenge. And it's a fun league to cover. It really is. So I've been impressed from afar with what the Broncos have been able to do under Leon Rice and his staff.
Now, 0-9 all time, kind of the monkey on their back. They've never won an NCAA tournament game. 0-9. Leon's 0-4. And the last couple of years, they've got there and thought they had a chance and had some bad matchups. But this would be the first time in school history they even get to 3 tournaments in a row if they can get there. But a lot of fans in Boise, like, you know, there was a lot of hype coming into this season. up until the loss the other night against UNLV, I mean, there was really a ton of positive momentum. I know people are still excited, but is this team talented enough? Maybe this is a better question for after Saturday's game when you see them in person. But I mean, is this a team that you think can get in, not only get in, but finally break through this year?
Yeah, breaking through in the tournament, getting there is the accomplishment. It's hard. It's really hard. And I know fans are impatient and you want to win. Coaches and players do too, but it's difficult. And the tournament is a one-game issue. And that tends to create a lot of challenge to advance. Seeding is a factor. The matchup is even more of a factor. Who do you play? How are they playing? What's the state of your team? So, yeah, I think based on the games I've watched, and I've watched half a dozen, this is a really solid team. They've got enough experience and enough raw material. But then it's a matter of continuing to play well. And then, BJ, you want to be playing your best basketball as you get to the tournament and try not to have one of those off games because, again, it's a one-and-done situation. So as unpredictable as the tournament is, you look at the Broncos, if they're there, they would have a chance, I would think, to beat whoever they would play against, assuming it was a reasonable matchup. Obviously, there's some teams out there that are pretty much separated from the pack right now.
From a national perspective, what did San Diego State's run last year do to help the validity of the Mountain West as a whole in this conference and for the league to back it up with maybe 5-6 teams worthy of a tournament this year right after San Diego State went to the title game? I know you've mentioned the Mountain West kind of being a good league, and I think for a while a lot of people have slept on it, a lot of late-night games and stuff out west, but I think this year it's finally getting the attention it deserves, as evident by I think this is the third Saturday in a row that the Mountain West will have a game on CBS.
Yeah, obviously it raises your level of notoriety. For those of us who cover college basketball on a regular basis, we understand how good the Mountain West is and how good the teams and coaches are. But there is a validation that comes with winning in the tournament, having a team get to the Final Four championship game. There's no denying that. That clearly elevates the status. But it doesn't dismiss the accomplishment of what's taking place when you get multiple teams to the tournament. There aren't a lot of leagues that do that. So that clearly is a level of excellence. And then obviously the next level is, can you put together a run? And I'm one that doesn't believe you can be a champion without winning championships.
Sure.
And you can be a really good program and maybe have some tough times in the tournament, but winning conference championships, competing for those, I know it sometimes gets lost, but I don't think we should lose track of what that means. I mean, those are significant. Now, you always want to get to the next run. I mean, it's like playing golf. If you shoot 80, you want to break 80. And if you break,
it's more like 100 for me. I'm shooting to break 100 most days.
It's all relative. My point is that you're always striving to try to do a little better. And hopefully the Broncos will be able to get there and break through with the win during March Madness.
Two quick state of the game questions, and we'll get you out of here. And I really appreciate your time. Fans are loving this. But transfer portal, NIL, the whole state of college basketball, you've seen it from when none of this was happening all the way through this now. What do you make of now we have legislation in Congress trying to get rid of the, multiple time transfer rules and all this kind of stuff. And we're seeing NIL and this everything that's going on there. We had the FBI case with all these schools the last couple of years. What do you just make about the state of the game of college basketball right now?
In general, we're in transition, but life is transition and transformation. That's going to be always part of our existence. And we clearly are in a unique time. I think NIL and the transfer portal, long overdue. As a matter of fact, there are only a few sports where you couldn't transfer and play right away. Men and women's basketball, football, and there was one other sport. So now having the chance, I don't know if multiple transfers should be allowed. That to me smells a little bit of just being a bit mercenary, maybe losing track of the educational component. But I'm all for students having the right that are athletes to not be penalized for being on scholarship, which is what NIL is about, and then having the ability to transfer within reason. Every other student, the school might be too big. The style of play might not work. You want to be close. There's all kinds of reasons that you should be allowed to transfer. Now, multiple times, let's think about what that is and maybe have some parameters on that. But by and large, we have a great opportunity amidst the challenges, BJ, those who are going to make decisions, to really create a model that's education-centric. It needs to be, if we're talking about college athletics, and still is economically realistic because there is a business component to it, that's experiential enhancing for the young people that are playing the sports, because education, we know education is a life changer. And if sports can be a vehicle for young people to have the opportunity to get a life-changing experience through education, we should be doing everything we can to make sure that that is still available within a sustainable, realistic, fair model. And that's going to take significant work and an openness to things being different than they ever have been before. And that's not necessarily bad.
I totally agree with that. I mean, I'm a basketball junkie, Clark. Like, I study the Ken Pom, the net rankings. Like, when I can't sleep at 3 a.m. and I roll over, I look to see if the net's been updated yet. I mean, I just like to look at the quad system and all this, but nobody can figure out exactly how you get the net ranking. And I know, like, there was a game, some of these teams are beating bad teams by 40 points and moving up 30 spots in the net ranking. And a team like Boise State's challenging itself against Clemson on the road and some of these tournaments, and maybe doesn't have as high of a ranking as some of these other Mountain West teams that largely didn't challenge themselves. What's your take, I guess, on the net ranking and its impact and just the sabermetrics and analytics and all this, and how we're picking teams for the tournament and stuff these days?
Yeah, it's the best model of an imperfect system. It's impossible to really quantify and qualify all of the numbers in a way that seems fair to everybody. I think the best answer is to do what you know you need to do in challenging yourself and stack wins and be healthy and playing your best basketball. And I think since we've expanded to 68 teams, there's very few occasions where anybody has a legitimate gripe if they haven't been included in the field of 68. And to me, that speaks volumes. Clearly, we've got a good formula. We've got a magic event and product in college hoops. And there always are going to be a few disappointments, but rare. So I think you do the things that you believe are important to giving yourself the best chance based on your program and team. You challenge yourself, you play good people, and then you stack wins, because ultimately that's the greatest way to make your case.
Well, final question for you, and we really appreciate your time. 16 plus minutes here, and I'm very thankful. The game tomorrow, 11 a.m. CBS, Boise, Idaho, the national stage. Broncos had the nation's longest home court winning streak, 22 games, and couldn't make a free throw against UNLV down the stretch,
and
lost.
They couldn't get a key defensive rebound either.
No,
that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest.
I was going to say they gave up a lot of offensive rebounds, and San Diego State just got 20 offensive rebounds. So that's probably one of them. But I guess final thing, what are just your keys to this game? What are you going to be looking for tomorrow?
Well, these teams are so similar, so good defensively. Defense-centric teams share the ball. It's going to come down, I think, obviously, rebounding is going to be a big factor. Can you squeeze out some easy buckets? Can you find some fast break opportunities? Can you make your free throws when you get them? I think you've got to keep San Diego State off the free throw line if you're Boise. I mean, they average 23 attempts a game from the line, and they shoot 70+% from the line as a group. So you've got to do a good job defending them without fouling, and that's hard when you've got a guy like Ladie. Rebounding always a key. Both of these teams take good care of the basketball. Pace is going to be moderate. In my opinion, it won't be a game. Baskets. Can you get second shots, fast break points, those kind of things? And then the three-point shot. Neither of these teams shoot a bunch of them. They're not really strong, prolific three-point shooting teams. But in a game, perhaps you find 8 out of 22 or whatever it might be, a little above your norm, and that could be a differentiator as well. So those are kind of the things that I'm looking at that might impact who comes out on top of this one.
Well, we appreciate your time. I've seen 3 or 4 people behind you there kind of going, is that Clark Kellogg? I mean, I don't know if you got the I don't know if you have the glossy photos and the Sharpie with you, but you might have some signatures there in the airport to sign. But we really appreciate it. I know you're going on KTIK radio this afternoon here in Boise, our partners as well. So hopefully folks will listen to that. But looking forward to seeing you in the morning and safe travels. And it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow.
Very much so, BJ. Appreciate the time, man. Great to hang out with you, and I look forward to seeing you in 3D up close and in person tomorrow.
I don't know if that's such a good thing, but
it will be. It will be.
Appreciate it, Clark. Thanks.
All right, man. Take care. Yeah. Bye-bye.